We're speaking with Edward Leung, who's a leader of a localist group called Hong Kong Indigenous. So you're studying now at Hong Kong U? Are you? What's your major? Poli-sci? Oh, philosophy. Oh, no, not political science.
Not political science.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Politics. The subject is called Politics and Public Administration in Hong Kong U, and I'm doing a minor.
Oh, minor, yeah.
Major in philosophy.
Do you find the university supportive of activism or?
Very supportive.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah.
Very, very supportive. Oh, yeah. My department actually, how to say, had some things to say about my works because, like for this semester, this second semester, during the start of the semester, I joined the student strike movement in Hong Kong U to protest against the Alpha Lee, who is the University Council Chairman in Hong Kong U. We protest against him because he rejected the appointment of our assistant of the Vice Chancellor because of some silly political reasons.
The law school dean.
Yeah. And we had a student strike. We had a class boycott, like for the first half of our semester. Then after the class boycott, after the protest against Alpha Lee, I need to engage in the election. So for more than a half of my semester, I didn't go to school, but my department helped me quite a lot. They helped me to inform. They helped me to inform the professor. They helped me to graduate. They helped me to arrange my schedule. They tried all they could have to help me to graduate.
So you don't have to drop out.
Yeah.
So did you graduate already? Or?
Not really. And I still have one summer semester to go. And actually they helped me to arrange it because I need those credits to graduate.
And you definitely identify as 香港人.
Yes.
When did that process happen?
When did the process happen?
And when and how, I guess. Yeah.
I think it happened when I was young. When I was really young, because when I came to Hong Kong when I was 1 year old, my mother told me that she just told me to learn Cantonese very naturally. She wouldn't talk to me in Mandarin, even though her Cantonese wasn't that good at the point of time. But when we moved to Hong Kong, she started to learn Cantonese and communicated with me in Cantonese. So my identity as a Hongkonger was built up when I was very young. And I was educated here.
Yeah.
And all of my core values, my social network, my community, all my knowledge was shaped in Hong Kong. So so when I grew up, I just want to pledge my loyalty, or I just want to contribute to this society, Hong Kong, but not somewhere else.
Did you keep any of your local dialect from Wuhan or whatever?
No, actually, no.
Yeah.
Because first my mother wouldn't communicate with me in Mandarin, and when I was in school, back in those days in 1990s, Mandarin wasn't that, people wouldn't emphasize the importance of learning Mandarin, and when I was in school, people wouldn't really learn it. People just use the lesson of, we call it 普通话. People would just use the lesson of 普通话 to do their own homework, and they wouldn't really pay attention to it.
So you think, is that in danger now? Is Guangdonghua in danger of being eclipsed?
Yeah, it's also the problem of policy, like the problem of the immigration policy. The unfairness of the education policy or this Chinese language policy is that they are guiding our next generation to use Mandarin to learn Chinese, but not our mother tongue Cantonese. Because for more than 70% of the primary schools and more than 60% of the secondary schools are using Mandarin to teach Chinese. And this policy is unfair because why those schools started to establish those Mandarin class is because the government started to fund this policy by giving 1.4 million Hong Kong dollars per school for them to support this policy. But for the other different aspects in education, you could still sense the control of the government and the hidden political agenda as to introduce Mandarin to replace Cantonese in learning Chinese, and to introduce simplified Chinese to replace traditional Chinese. They are now implementing this policy to introduce simplified Chinese for all primary students. And if this tendency remains, the education of Hong Kong will soon become like the policy in Guangzhou or in Shenzhen.
But Cantonese is still our official language, right?
No, not actually. Chinese is our official language, but not necessarily Cantonese.
But in the past, it was interpreted as Cantonese, right?
Yes, people because it was very natural. Our mother tongue is Cantonese, so people just regard the official language Chinese as Cantonese. But it's not the truth because they didn't really, clearly state that our Chinese, our official one, is Cantonese. So they make some change in our educational policy, and if this tendency remains, then people might not regard the status of Cantonese as important as nowadays or before.
Because I had a student, there was a student at my school that came from Hong Kong, and he would write papers and he would say Chinese, and then I asked him, what do you mean by Chinese? And he said it's Cantonese, and so he assumed that Chinese was Cantonese for somebody from Hong Kong, and so you think that would change? It's trying to change.
One week ago, I attended a forum, and there was a secondary 5 student who came to the forum and said she also thought that this tendency is going strong, the tendency of learning Mandarin and using Mandarin in daily lives in school, because he witnessed that for quite a lot of secondary 1, secondary 2 students who were the first generation to receive the Mandarin education. And those students, during their daily dialogue, they would suddenly change to Mandarin for some times, and then change back to Cantonese, and then change back to Mandarin. That was the way of their usual dialect. And so the secondary 5 students said that this tendency is getting common in her school. And this is not that surprising because those students, those who received Mandarin Chinese education they received this education for more than 6 years. The policy started in 2008, and 8 years already passed. And those who received entirely 6 years Mandarin education now became the secondary 1 or secondary 2 students. So this phenomenon is actually common.
How about the Mongkok protests? What happened there? Was it because were you upset that the police were cracking down on vendors, or what happened there?
Well, a year before, we helped some hawkers to sell food in Mongkok, and a year after, that means few months before, in Lunar New Year, and those hawkers couldn't do the same as 1 year before, because they said that the police and a lot of officials were there to stop them selling food. But all in all, they couldn't do so. They couldn't do it as the same as 1 year before. So one of the hawker messaged us, called us, before the Lunar New Year and told us that and asked us if we could help them again this year. So we went out again and we helped them to set up their stores. We helped them we tried to protect them from the officials. So the officials we treated, the police, the PPRB, I mean the public relation of the police, told us that if you guys stay here and do not do anything harmful to anyone, then everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Then we wouldn't do anything further action on you. Then we started to enjoy our food. Then more and more people came. But like 1 hour later,
this is about midnight or near midnight.
About midnight. 1 hour later, after the words of the PPRB, a troop of the police suddenly came in with shields, with a tall, how do you say, 高塔, 指揮塔, command tower. And
this is the riot squad?
Yeah, the riot squad. They wear helmets, they use riot shields, they have the batons, they have pepper spray. They march in suddenly, like 30 something of them marching suddenly. Then some people went forward to try to argue with the police and to say that hey, we were just here to enjoy our food, we didn't do anything. But then some conflicts broke out. I didn't know why, because I was on the side road to enjoy my food. I was eating, but
you were eating.
Yeah, I was eating, but suddenly some conflicts broke out, and the police started to use pepper spray, started to beat people. Then we found that hey, this is unacceptable because that violates the words of the PPRB, like an hour before. So we also went forward, tried to argue with the police, but of course they didn't give us any response. They just told us to retreat, told us to leave, and we thought that that was unacceptable. So we tried to gather our group members, wear up our blue hoodies, and we went to the very first line of the crowd. And then the police retreat for like 50 meters. Then they changed to another squad, another troop, like about 50 to 800 white police who were all geared up with all white gears, with long rectangular shields, with all the helmets and the spray. And the commander stepping on the command tower, used a announce system to tell us that you guys are having an unlawful assembly here, so you must retreat in 5 minutes. If not, we will do further action. So we went to the very first line and we hear about this announcement, and we had two choices at that point of time. We could retreat to stop this confrontation, and we could tell our Hongkongers that we couldn't do anything to help you because the white police is here. We could do so, but we still have the second choice, is that stand firm and ready for the confrontation. And we chose the latter option. Then when he was counting down, like 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and when it was 1 minute left, then we told ourselves that hey, they may march in to beat us. Hey, before they march in, we just bomb in.
You just what?
We just bomb into their shields formation.
Throw stuff.
Yeah. We didn't throw anything at that point in time. We were just on the front line started to move forward and to had a confrontation with the.
So why were you arrested?
People at the back started to.
Oh, I see. Why were you arrested?
Why were I arrested? They charged me as rioting. And I was arrested after the first confrontation. After we retreat, after we retreat from the Putland Street, we went to a crossroad. Then people had another confrontation with the traffic police in the crossroad. And I was one of them. and then I was arrested after the police shot 2 bullets in the air.
Oh, yeah.
And
Heard about
the
that.
point that was very important because people were beaten up, people started to retreat, then they had the confrontation with the traffic police. And then after the traffic police shot 2 bullets in the air, the protesters at the front line, because they couldn't how to say, they couldn't be sure about where the bullets come from and where did the bullets go. They couldn't see how did the police aim at anything. I don't know.
They shot in the air.
Yeah, they shot in the air, but people
We didn't know.
But people wouldn't know because we could only sense that we could only hear the voice and to smell the gunpowder, but we couldn't acknowledge, hey, where did the bullets
So
go?
you were so close, you could smell it.
We were so close, and then people started to get angry. People started to get very, very angry because they sense that, hey, the police already shot 2 bullets. That means some people might get hurt, or people might get killed. That means the police is using real firearms, and we also have 2 choices. We could go back home, or to strike back.
Are you worried about the trial coming up, or?
A little bit, seriously, a little bit, because the sentence is quite harsh.
It's heavy, yeah.
It's quite harsh.
How many years?
If I didn't admit anything, and then if I am convicted, the minimum sentence is 5 years.
Wow. Is there a good legal system that you can rely on? Or, I mean, are they good lawyers, or are they all volunteers, or where do you get them?
Volunteers.
Yeah.
Volunteer lawyers.
Does your party have their own lawyers, or you have to find them, or on a case by
We
case?
don't have it's case by case, and because a lot of people were involved in this trial. And
not just
a lot of people were arrested. Like 30-something of them were charged. So the legal fee to cover all the protesters is quite huge, and we are still worried about it.
Oh, yeah. You know, I've been fighting against government surveillance back in the U.S., and so I was wondering, how do you, as an activist, how do you keep the government from knowing what you're doing, or do you just expect them to know everything?
It's really hard. It's really hard. My phone, my computer, my network might be monitored, and I'm not surprised that they are doing so, because for sometimes when I was talking on the phone, and I could hear the weird voices, the weird sound inside my phone. So
Did they confiscate your phone when you were arrested?
no, because I was clever. I threw out all my things to somewhere else before the protest, because I knew that I need to do some preparation.
Oh, that's good.
Beforehand.
Yeah. So how about what do you think of the idea of, you know, putting stuff on Facebook and all that? Do you think the government must be monitoring everything, right?
Yes, indeed.
So do you think the publicity, you know, getting out to your supporters overweighs the fact that government may actually spy on people?
Yeah, I mean the publicity or the media coverage is the only thing that could protect us, the activists. And but for the monitor, you couldn't stop it.
What would you plan to do?
Election again.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very likely.
Oh, yeah. Run again.
Yeah, because the votes I've got in the by-election was quite a lot, and people had hope on me. They expect me to do something inside the electoral. So I want to test myself.
Yeah. See how much support you get.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.